All right. We're going to start off by letting you introduce yourself, your name, what industry you're in, and if you attended school.
All right. Well, my name is Tony Gonzalez. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I went to school at a school called Florida Institute of Technology. Um, Engineering has always been my thing, which is crazy because now I'm in the roofing or exterior remodeling industry
Okay.
here in Northern Virginia. Yep.
And just a quick question. When you said exterior, what do you mean by that? What does your exterior
So,
mean?
exterior remodeling is when you work on improving, let's say, your roof, something called the gutter system, siding, window. In most cases, I do residential work, so I'm dealing with a lot of just, I guess, the facelift of houses
Okay.
or townhouses, all that good stuff.
Okay. And,
Yep.
and what's the name of your business?
The name of my business is Supreme Contracting.
Okay.
We're located in Northern Virginia.
Okay. Good. Um, First question I got for you is, how do you personally approach creative problem solving in your business?
Well, truthfully, in order to problem solve, you have to, in our case, we have to speak to the clients and see what type of problems they're seeing in their home. In a lot of cases, we deal with homeowners finding leaks through their roofs or cracks in their foundation because the water gets trapped there, and so we try to come up with solutions to prevent these type of damages.
Okay. Um, what habits or routines do you follow to stay innovative?
So truthfully, I try to, always think about what else I can do in what's exterior remodeling. So currently, my main focus has been roofing and replacing shingles and then doing gutter systems. What I can also lead into is, windows, replacing windows, replacing siding. And so I always try to see and meet new people on, these who work in these areas to be able to see if we can make a connection to start offering those type of services.
Right. It's who you know, not what you know these days.
Correct. Yep.
So, can you share a time where you had to think outside the box to overcome a major challenge?
Honestly, when it comes down to all types of water leaks through the roof, it's you have to really start with and ask yourself, how can water penetrate the surface? A roof is supposed to be sealed and watertight. So when we find a leak, we have to go and get up on the roof and see where it's actually coming from. The crazy thing is that normally water trickles down and leaks in a place where the leak doesn't exist.
Okay.
So we always have to be thinking outside the box and really focusing on the little details to see where the water could be coming in from.
Okay. Um, do you actively seek inspiration from outside your industry? And if so, how?
Yes. Obviously, here in Northern Virginia, we see a lot of new construction. The roofing industry itself is changing because people are now mixing different types of shingles. They're adding solar systems to them. They're using shingle and metal. So there's always new construction, I guess, would be a nice touch to get more creative on what I could offer to my clients.
Is there any specific frameworks or methodologies you use for your creative thinking, like design thinking or planning?
At the moment, it's more about just focusing on what the client needs, and just providing them with what they exactly need for their home. Not necessarily, usually in our industry, it's very standard. A lot of people just want asphalt type of shingles versus going into something extravagant. So it's pretty straightforward, and there's not much of, um, I guess you can say, things that I have to come up or change, or as they say, there's no need to reinvent the wheel.
Right. What does, or sorry, What role does failure play in your innovation process?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What role does failure play in your innovation process?
I think failure is important part of the process because if you fail at something, you can use that as a lesson so the next time you don't have that same situation. So what I'm, thinking of is if we install the shingle a certain way and it fails and it leaks, then for the next time we know that we shouldn't install it that way because of the potential leak that it can create.
Right, you more or less learn from your mistakes.
Correct.
Okay. Um, how do you encourage employees to share or develop new ideas, or how do you get how do you motivate your employees?
So we allow them to speak freely about how everything is run in the company. We'll have meetings together and discuss if how are they feeling. Do they feel like we're giving them enough attention or enough incentives to be able to continue to move forward? If they want to bring something up to us, they can at any time. We're available, and this allows them to really say what's on their mind so we can better their environment for them to continue having these employees, because having employees that are with you for a long period of time is the best thing you can have to be able to have a well working company.
Okay. Um, what challenges have you faced in maintaining an innovative culture as your company grows?
It's really tough because we don't necessarily create a product to be able to put updates on it or create new versions of it. Because my company is more of a service company, the only thing we have to tailor is really be able to give the new options of different types of disciplines in roofing. So that would mean that I have to learn how to install all types of shingles. And the way I do that is by attending different certification, um, I guess, gatherings, you can say, that our distributors provide for us.
Okay. Um, how do you decide which ideas to pursue and which ones to abandon?
The I guess you can say I like to take a quick bite at it, as a lot of our projects are can be small scale, big scale. For example, our company recently started getting to installing metal roofs. In order to do that, we did a couple test runs on small things like bay windows, entrances, things that don't require a huge amount of resources to do. Um, and through these little bites, if it works, we can apply on a bigger scale to move forward with that idea.
Okay. Do you collaborate with any external partners, like startups, any research institutions for innovation?
Currently, we don't do any collaborations with anyone. As we get bigger, hopefully we can, potentially host some of the gatherings that our distributors have, because I have made connections with the representatives from the manufacturers that provide the shingles. So maybe we can do, a session with our in-house employees to be able to show them more about their products and how to install them in case of the day of tomorrow they decide to start their own gig. Somebody has to start from somewhere.
Right. And the last and final question, if you had an unlimited resources, what groundbreaking idea would you pursue?
So in my industry, the biggest downfall comes when colder temperatures come into play.
Right.
A lot of the products we use are only used during the warmer climates, as that's the best way they could adhere. So if I had all the resources and all the money to be able to do a product or create a product, it would be something that can be installed in colder climates. So the roofing industry doesn't necessarily have to stop when the colder climates come in.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, and I hope you have a good one.
Thank you.